Welcome to Beyond Investments with your host, Seth Leishman of Ostrofe Financial Consultants. Information provided is for illustrative purposes only and does not constitute investment, tax, or legal advice. Information has been obtained from sources that are deemed to be reliable, but its accuracy and completeness are not guaranteed. Neither LPL Financial nor the hosts of this show or accept any liability for the use of the information discussed. Consult with a qualified financial, legal, or tax professional prior to taking any action. Securities offered through LPL Financial, member FINRA SIPC. Investment advice offered through Ostrofe Financial Consultants, a registered investment advisor and separate entity from LPL Financial. Today's guest, Rick Fisher, is a financial advisor with Ostrofe Financial Consultants, National Planning member SIPC. And now, Beyond Investments, here's your host, Seth Leishman.
Good morning, and welcome to Beyond Investments here on News Talk KNCO, AM 830. Rick Fisher and Seth Leishman from Ostrofe Financial here.
Good morning, folks.
Enjoying a beautiful Nevada County summer day. Of course,
it's not
hot one this weekend.
It's not going to stay that way for long, though.
Excuse me.
When my wife told me it was going to be like 101 and 103, and I go, "You mean Sacramento?"
That's right. Yeah.
And she said, "No." And I looked on it, and there it said, "I go 101 on Saturday, the day of the car show."
The day of the car show. Yep.
But we're going to be there.
We will be there. We will have both Mustangs out there and enjoying the downtown Grass Valley car show. They rescheduled.
Yes, exactly. I went
supposed to be back in June. It was raining.
Yes, it was raining, and I was one of the foolish people that showed up and
yes,
foolishly thought that it would stop raining and they could go with it. But
right.
Looks like we're getting just the opposite of what we had.
Correct. Yes. Now we're going to be extra hot.
Right. So if you're going to come to the car show, and I think the owner of Toffanelli said the same thing, come early.
Yes. Come early. Come when it's cooler.
I think it's supposed to peak around 1 or 2 as far as the temperature. So hopefully it'll be nice and cool, or at least pleasant.
Yes.
Early, because it starts pretty early, I think.
I think we need to bring some shade.
Do you have shade?
Well, I'll bring a pop-up shade thing, yeah.
Okay.
I think I need to bring one of those.
We have to bring chairs. We want to bring chairs.
I've definitely got to bring chairs.
I didn't have that sign made for the car. I got to do that.
That's right.
But
that'll be a fun Sunday thing.
Yes, it will. It's going to be...
My Mustang's not nice enough to have a sign made for it, though. Maybe someday.
I'm sure someday you'll get it looking pristine at some point.
Or I'll do what I oftentimes do is I'll get it most of the way there, enjoy it for a bit, and sell it.
Okay. Actually, when I was at lunch, I was on the way back, and someone was driving in I don't think it was a Resto Mod, but it was a 65, 66 convertible, white. Okay. It had some exhaust on it, and it looked like it had been redone. It looked like a nice car. I gave him the thumbs up, but he didn't see me. So.
Dang. There you go.
Anyways. But we have, today I finally went to the store and did the inflation.
Got our inflation calculator?
Yeah,
Very nice.
Got that, and we've got some trivia. And then today we're going to talk about wealth.
Yes, we are. It's going to be an interesting subject.
Charles Schwab came out with their annual wealth survey, so we're going to go through some of those numbers. And
I think that'll be a fun discussion.
Yes, since we are in the wealth management business, or at least part of what we do.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anyway, so let's talk about inflation.
Let's dive into inflation.
The good news is inflation is moderating. I think most people can see that. I didn't do it last month, but if I go year to date, so let's go from January.
Yeah.
What do you think that I wouldn't say it's the exact same basket of goods, but it's as close as I can get.
It's close enough for
so what do you think it has year
purposes.
to date?
6.5.
Cut that in half.
Oh, okay.
2.7.
2.7 year to date.
2.7%. So this month was very surprising. Usually it's kind of a mix between things that have gone up, things that have gone down, things that stayed the same.
Yeah.
This month, 17 out of 27 stayed the same.
Okay. Very good. That's good.
Only 7 went up, 3 went down.
That's a good sign.
Yeah. So the other crazy...
So we're at 2.7 with approximately halfway through the year.
Right.
So, so that'll be, what does that come out to? 5.4 then if it keeps going at the same pace for the rest of the year. And add that to the 11 or 12 or whatever it was last year.
Right.
At least this is way better. We're moderating it down. This is nice.
Which might be good for the income at present.
It certainly.
If things are looking better, people might think, "Oh, it's not so bad."
Oh, maybe it's not so bad. I don't know though. How do you forget how bad it's been? And 2.7 is not great, realistically, considering it's only 6 months. Right. 2.7 is where we should be for the whole year.
Yeah, well, that's right. I mean, the Fed wants us at 2.
Oh, that's right. Yes,
I'd be happy at 3 or 4. But
I would be happy at 3. I think that's fine.
As long as my investments are doing better than inflation, that's at the end of the day.
That's the end of the day what we want. Yes, exactly right. So interesting. Yeah, especially with transportation costs being some of the biggest inputs into some of these costs, especially in Nevada County, because everything has to come in, of course, in a pretty decent distance. Gas
is actually down year to date from locate was at the beginning of the year was at 4. Well, no, it depends. In December, it was $5 average of 3 different gas stations. In January, it was $4.50. We're at $4.79. So it's stabilized, if anything else.
Yeah, somewhat
One
stabilized. That's good.
I did find out of all the items, all 27 items, one has not, the price hasn't moved all year long.
Oh, really? Okay.
It's the organic spring mix. It's been $5.99 every time.
Every time.
Everything else is a little change. And another thing I noticed yesterday.
So my food has been relatively stable.
Exactly.
In price.
Yes.
Okay.
But one thing I was, when I went to go look at the toothpaste, I realized that, in any given brand, they'll have 2 different 3 versions of that brand.
Of course.
But not only that, there must be 5 or 6 different sizes.
Ah, yes.
So, and some of this, I think, is the shrinkflation we've talked about. So
correct.
I counted 5 different sizes, all look like medium. So it wasn't like the travel size and the extra large, but just the standard size. But what was 4.6 ounces last month, now is 4.3. The price stayed the same, but this is that classic example where the price stayed the same, but they gave you less. Now, I don't know what 0.3 ounces does in the number of teeth brushings. Is that 1? Is that 10?
But you extrapolate that out to the 10 million tubes.
Yes.
It's a big difference.
But as we said before, it'd be nice if they had to put it in bold or let us know that, there may be but
yeah. That's why I really like when stores, certainly in commodities like that, where it's measured in ounces or pounds or whatever, they give a per ounce price. I love because you look at cereal is a big one. Breakfast cereal is a big one because you've got the family size box,
right,
and then you've got the
which
smaller,
is only like 3/4 of the way full.
Exactly. And I love when they give you the per ounce price, and you go, is this really any cheaper? When you look at the volume, and I'm paying more for it, but am I getting more than essentially that difference there? And it does it out more often than not, but regularly enough, it's actually higher price per ounce.
So are you one of those who will look at that before you make the purchase decision, or
every
do you
time?
Okay.
Every time.
I've gone back and forth.
It just bugs me. I mean, do I need to? No, it's fine. Like, the kids are going to eat.
But you're naturally frugal. That's just who you are.
Naturally, I want to know, I don't want to give them any more of my money than I have to.
Fair enough.
And I love Cinnamon Toast Crunch. And so I will still buy it, but I want to try to get the cheapest, the lowest per ounce price I could get. Cause we kind of go through it pretty quickly. And
the other thing that it was kind of bummed, we used to get the Paul Newman's sauce. It was without the price, and he gives it to charity. And it's no longer at the store I go to.
Oh, wow.
I've had to,
had to swap out brands.
And I've had to do that on a few different things.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's it for the inflation report.
Okay, very good. Yeah, interesting, intriguing. What else do you have for us today?
Okay, so we got a little bit of trivia.
Okay.
We've got financial trivia because this is a financial show. 1997, just 2 years after breaking the 1,000 barrier, the NASDAQ Composite Index rises 11.69 points to close at 1,502, closing above 1,500 for the first time. So 2 years to go.
2 years, 50%.
And we're up what?
11,000 and change now.
Yeah.
Wow.
Or it's more than that.
On the NASDAQ?
Yeah.
Oh, maybe it is even more. I could be grabbing the wrong one.
I quote it 3 times a day and I can't.
Sorry, 13,000.
Yeah, I thought.
Yes.
Okay.
It was as low as 11.
Yes.
Yes.
1986.
Okay.
Quote unquote, financial engineering takes a quantum leap as Fannie Mae, the Federal National Mortgage Association, offers the first issue of stripped mortgage-backed securities through Goldman Sachs. Now bond buyers can buy either interest-only or principal-only bonds, enabling them to bet aggressively on the direction of interest rates.
Wow.
Now institution bond investors can buy either interest-only or principal-only bonds, enabling them to bet. It said the same thing twice. And homeowners can more readily refinance their mortgages as interest rates fall, which obviously did for a period.
Correct.
1985. You're too young to remember this. 1985. Coca-Cola announces the return of Coke Classic after the company has tried displacing the old formula with new Coke. Such a stunning development that ABC's Peter Jennings interrupts General Hospital in the news flash. I don't remember that. But
oh, wow.
One of the greatest marketing debacles in history ends as Coke boss Robert Goizzetta tells the public, "We have heard you." I wish Disney and Budweiser would do the same. But
that's right.
We're not there yet, apparently. 1864. As Confederate Lieutenant General Jubal Early defeats Union Major General Lew Wallace, later author of Ben-Hur, I didn't know that, and marches toward the outskirts of Washington, D.C., the U.S. dollar hits an all-time low. Alarmed at the bad news from the battlefield, traders in New York are willing to pay only 35.3509 gold dollars for a single greenback.
Ah, yes.
Wow. Scary times.
Yeah.
Moving over to sports, because we love sports. 1914, future Baseball Hall of Famer slugger Babe Ruth makes his major league debut as a pitcher for the Boston Red Sox.
Ah, very good.
You know, the whole thing about Shohei Ohtani.
Mm-hmm.
1985, Nolan Ryan. I know you're a Nolan Ryan fan.
I am.
He's the first man to strike out 4,000 batters. And he went on, it's like 7,000, something ridiculous.
That was a ridiculous number, yes.
And then...
it'll never be reached.
No, not likely. 2015, Wimbledon women's tennis, Serena Williams becomes the oldest winner in Open era, age 33. Oh, ancient. Beating Gabrielle, I can't pronounce the last name. She won, so.
Yes.
Moving into music, 1987. I actually remembered this song because I was working at Macy's at the time, and they had the young kids section across the way. They play pop music.
Right.
And then Heart started a 3-week #1 run in the U.S. singles chart with the song Alone, one of my favorite Heart songs. Great song.
Yeah.
Really shows off Ann Wilson's incredible voice. Made it to #3 in the UK. 1969, David Bowie, Space Oddity by David Bowie was released in the UK for the first time. It was timed to coincide with the Apollo moon landing, but had to be re-released before it became a hit. Later in that year in the UK, but not until 1973 in the US.
Yes.
And then from the Encyclopedia Britannica, 1804, the duel between Aaron Burr and Alexander Hamilton happened. Outraged over despairing remarks that Alexander Hamilton had allegedly made at a dinner party, Aaron Burr challenged his longtime rival to a duel. And on this day in 1804, he fatally shot Hamilton in Weehawken, New Jersey.
Ah, there you go.
1863, angered by unfair practices in Civil War conscription, New York City workers rioted and attacked draft headquarters.
Wow.
So they used to have draft riots in the Civil War when the war wasn't going so well. And last but not least, 1302.
Oh,
so going back a little bit.
You're going back a little ways.
Yeah. In the Battle of the Golden Spurs, an untrained Flemish infantry militia defeated a professional force of French and patrician Flemish cavalry, thus halting the growth of French control over Belgium.
Oh, over Belgium.
Yeah, I put that. My father-in-law was from Belgium.
1302.
Now, the Flemish are what the Belgians are.
He's not quite that old, though.
No.
He doesn't remember that battle.
He passed away quite a few years ago. But
yes, correct.
Anyway, so that is it for trivia for today.
Well, wonderful. We're going to come back and talk about it's interesting, information. Well, I won't say study, but it's a survey. We'll call it a survey. Yep, survey. Talking about wealth, and especially in this day and age when we've got declining and up and down and just all over the place kind of markets, whether they be even real estate markets, equity markets, everything's up and down. And so it'll be interesting. We'll talk about some of the information that's come out of that survey around wealth. So we'll be right back. You're listening to Beyond Investments here on News Talk, KNCO, AM 830.
Today's guest, Rick Fisher, is a financial advisor with Ostrofe Financial Consultants, National Planning Member SIPC.
All righty. Welcome back to Beyond Investments here on News Talk, KNCO, AM 830. So, Rick, Charles Schwab does a little survey out there, gathers information around wealth. Let's talk some highlights and let's talk some information and opinions and tidbits on this thing.
Yeah, so first it's an online study.
Okay.
Conducted between March 1st and March 13th of this year.
Okay.
And they sampled Americans aged 21 to 75.
Okay.
There were 1,000 adults completed in the study, And then they had 200 additional Gen Z completed the study, so 1,200 altogether.
Okay.
And just for those folks, and I always forget what the breakdown is, but Gen Z is ages 21 to 25. So I have a Gen Z at home.
21 to 25, only a 4-year window.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, we're probably in Gen Z.
Okay, right. Yes, correct. Okay.
Millennials, 26 to 41. So you're a millennial technically.
Technically, I'm 41. Yes.
You're at the tail end, just
very,
like I'm
very, very, very beginning of it.
Gen X, 42 to 57.
Right. I'm almost that one, really.
Yeah, you'd be a millennial X,
yeah,
or an X millennial, but then you'd be nothing.
That'd be, yeah.
And then I am at the tail end of the boomers.
Yes.
Tail end of the boomers. Okay, so
very good.
Moving on. So at the end of the day, it starts off that while Americans say you need $2.2 million to be quote unquote wealthy in 2023, Americans who feel wealthy have a much lower actual net worth.
Okay.
Now, I do believe that in the footnotes, when they say net worth, they don't include your primary residence.
Okay, that's good to know.
You could read it. They don't include real estate in general, but it doesn't directly say that. So we could say a liquid net worth.
Right. Okay. Very
good. Just to define that, that's where you can turn it into cash in a very quick period of time. Where real estate obviously takes a lot more time to turn it into cash.
Yeah.
So 2.2 million. So even if you had that in retirement accounts, that would be, you'd be comfortable at least.
Yeah.
But wealthy. Okay. Again, 48% of Americans feel wealthy. That's good news.
Yeah. That's very good news. I mean, cause it's been a rough go of it. Liquid, especially because you're talking liquid net worth. So, we're talking equity market exposure and cash and, things like that.
And of those 48%, the average net worth of those people who feel wealthy is $560,000, so far less than the 2.2 million.
Yeah, far less.
If this is an online survey,
right?
Okay, and then 1,200 is I don't know if that's big enough to do a survey, and it's just a survey.
Yep.
A couple of things. Number one, probably those who are into finances and want to know that are ones that have that kind of net worth.
Correct.
You probably don't have a lot of people who don't have a whole lot going on to that survey.
I would agree with that wholeheartedly.
Okay. And as one of, I look at other people's podcasts and YouTube channels. There's lots of financial people on there, and there's a couple I follow and piggyback on sometimes. And they were saying, people are not always truthful in these surveys when it's anonymous.
When it's anonymous, yes, agreed.
When it comes to the feeling wealthy, it looks like a Gen Z, the current generation, and millennials, 57%.
Wow,
feel that they are. And again, it's most like the motivated ones who would do a survey like this.
Who would do a survey, because you're going to have a huge portion of millennials out there don't even know who Charles Schwab is.
Right.
Because they're worried about their iPhone.
Yes.
Then instead of their Roth IRA.
True.
Let's be honest.
Yeah. And as far as boomers, the net worth goes up to about 700,000.
Okay.
So in order for boomers to feel, I think boomers probably have more of their parents who were the Depression era, their attitudes on security and wealth, and they would want more. And also, you're older in life, and so
they're feeling like they have less time for accumulation.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
So when describing wealth in their own words, more Americans reference well-being over money and assets. Again, I think that's probably a healthy attitude.
Absolutely.
That in order to feel wealthy, that you have to be in good health, and you just have a feeling of well-being.
Yeah.
That you're active and productive.
I mean, I think that goes to show where we're going and where we've been through societal changes. You go through, say, the late 70s and 80s, which was very materialistic, right? Where everything was judged based on, your house, your car, the clothing you wore.
Pleasant Valley Sunday.
And in a really good, healthy way. I mean, talk about health and use that word. There's some shifting that's happened in the mindset around well-being, around your physical health and your ability to enjoy life, whether it's with a lot of money, a little money, or no money.
Well, as Ben Franklin famously said, happiness is
something about between the ears or whatever.
No, I had it and then I lost it. Being healthy, wealthy, and wise.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
So again, being wealthy Also, there's financial wealth, and here they break it down to money and assets, which obviously money is an asset, but not all assets are money.
Correct.
So if you put those two together, you've got 58%. Obviously financial
is a component of it, of course.
Absolutely, because stability, and if you're financially stable, you don't worry about where the next meal is going to come from or how you're going to pay your power bill.
That's right.
That's easier to be a little more tranquil. And then, people who feel they have the necessities. If I can afford a roof over my head, I got transportation, and I can feed my family, that is what makes me wealthy.
Perfect. I agree.
And then all the way down to, freedom, 15%, achievement goals, 13%, luxury, 11%, and then giving.
Okay. Yeah.
Moving on. So Americans generally chose non-financial assets when asked to choose which better describes wealth.
Okay.
Okay.
Interesting.
So non-monetary, 72% having a fulfilling personal life.
Very good.
70% not having to stress over money. Nobody likes to stress over money. That's tough.
Okay. Yeah. So you got to have enough of it to not stress about it.
Exactly.
Oftentimes. Not every time, but oftentimes.
Mm-hmm. Enjoying experiences.
Okay. Interesting.
Having that healthy work-life balance, which is so crucial.
Very crucial. Hard to do.
We both know people who had struggled with that.
On both ends of it.
Yes, absolutely. Yes. Being generous with loved ones.
Okay.
And paying for experiences to spend time with family. Now, that's one that I jump in. Like when I used to take my kids to concerts and ball games,
that's right.
That kind of stuff is not inexpensive.
No.
And you don't come home with any tangible thing.
No.
It's just that experience. But I can tell you, I tell my kids, or my kids tell me, that some of their fondest memories is when we went to that ball game or that museum or
absolutely.
The concerts.
Absolutely. No, it's those types of experiences it's a great way to define wealth. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. They are an asset in memories.
Obviously being in good health.
Yep.
And as we get older, that there can be some challenges.
I would agree.
Enjoying healthy relationships with family and loved ones. Again, that doesn't always happen. There's rifts in families, unfortunately.
Of course.
And so that's important. Absolutely. Americans feel that having time is more important than having money. I think I would love to buy time.
Right.
58% of Gen Z think time is more valuable than money. 56% of millennials, 59% of Gen X, 67%. Again, those of us who are older and don't have that much more time, obviously value time that much more.
That's right.
When you're young and carefree, I got time.
Exactly.
Having money.
Especially those 21 to 25-year-olds.
Mm-hmm. So 61% time is more important than money, and 39% having money they'd rather have more money.
Okay.
And those are people probably that struggle.
Yeah.
I mean, that would make perfect sense.
Absolutely.
About a third of Americans have a documented financial plan. Well, that's very good.
It's very good.
And those who have one feel more in control of their finances. That's why you do them.
That's absolutely.
Let's say financial. Well, they were saying, just a third. So, 65% do not know formal. What's a formal financial plan? I mean, if you're saying that it has to be on paper, is that formal? Or if you've got, you've got your bank accounts, you've got your retirement assets, you're putting money into them, you've covered the life insurance in case something happens. If you've done those things, the plan is in place.
The plan's in there.
It's not necessarily in a document.
Right. Correct. Yes. I would agree with that. Not everybody wants to have a documented process like that. So sometimes it's just too cumbersome. Too
cumbersome, or they see it as stagnant. They want it to be more flexible. 40% have thought a bit about financial goals, but still need to document it in a formal plan. Again, having goals and that it's really starting to do it. Whether you do it through Charles Schwab or independent financial
based
advisor.
on, of course.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And 26 don't have a financial plan of any kind.
Right.
92% of the 35% that have a plan, 92% feel confident they'll reach their goals. Which is good. I mean, if you go through the effort to make the plan, you want it to work.
You want it to work. You want to feel confident in that plan.
So that would make sense.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, 92 is actually kind of a little low. They went through a lot of effort. That other 8% went through a lot of effort to not feel confident in it. You'd love to see it higher. I just say you would love to see it higher.
But talk about that 8% is there are people who constantly worry regardless of what they do.
Yes, absolutely.
And then there are those who maybe they have the formal plan, but they haven't implemented as well as they could.
Right.
And that has happened with some of our clients as well. They'd rather take that trip because we don't say no. We just say we don't recommend that. But if you want to take $20,000 and go on a cruise, you know, at the end of the day, it is their money.
It's exactly right. That's exactly right. I agree.
Not having enough money and perceived complication of financial plans are the biggest barriers to having a financial plan.
Agreed.
Yes. In order to have a plan, you need to have, if you're just right out of college and don't have any money and you're struggling to pay rent, a financial plan is something that you got to be at least have some stability.
Yeah, let's get you some stability. Let's get you started.
So 44% said they don't have enough money to need a plan.
Oh, wow.
21% seem too complicated to create a plan. It really isn't that complicated. And that's why there's so many professionals out there, whether, I'm sure the big, let's say Fidelity, Vanguard, Charles Schwab, if you have a computer, go online, they probably have really easy, simple,
tons of that stuff,
things that you can
online.
You can put all the information in and they can spit out.
It'll spit out a little. Well, I mean, it'll be a boilerplate, but it'll be
better than nothing.
Better than having zero.
Yes, exactly.
Agreed.
Don't have enough time to develop. I think of the very busy people. I'm too busy making money and taking care of my life and all that. And sometimes you just got to slow down and take care of it because these things are important.
They are.
Haven't had a major life event that meant requiring a plan. That's why it's called a plan. You want to have that in case it happens.
Eyes in the beholder, right? I mean,
And there are those who think probably too expensive to get help creating a plan.
Right.
You can do it. I'm sure you can do a basic one online with little or no cost.
Yep, that's right.
And the cost of not doing it is going to be, in the long run,
runs the gamut.
Mm-hmm. So I guess we're running out of time here a little bit.
Yeah, we're running out of time here. Let's go with our last couple of tips there as we think about wealth. I find it's very intriguing to me that the very first statistic you shared, where if you pick a number, according to the survey, right, Americans feel they feel that people are wealthy at a little over 2 million.
Yeah.
And yet, also those that all the people surveyed. Or was it the people surveyed?
Yeah.
Who has 500,000, 560,000, right? So it's there's a pretty good gap there.
There is a good gap. Yep.
Right. And so it's just that I find that to be very intriguing. It's also unique because when you look at the average person in the United States over the age of 50, it's something like less than $50,000 is saved for retirement.
Yeah, and I don't know how that's going to play out.
So getting this metric here, where they said that they've got an average of $560,000, that tells you that most of these people surveyed, generally speaking, are probably in the higher echelon there in terms of savings and whatnot, because it doesn't look like it fits exactly the same metric as far as the average per se. It's probably slightly above, but still intriguing information though. It's really, really interesting, especially in today's day and age with equity markets moving up and down. Where's it's nice to hear a survey like this that describes where people feel wealthy versus where they are.
Correct.
Right. And so love that information, Rick. It's a good show. Great and interesting information. Hey, we live in a beautiful part of the of the world, part of the country. I feel pretty wealthy just for the fact that being here in Nevada County.
It definitely adds to the wealth effect in my mind.
I think so.
We do.
I think so. As always, we encourage you to give us a call. You can learn more about what we do and how we take care of clients. And as always, just reach on out, 273-4425. Come experience the difference when you think beyond investments.
Bye, folks.
Information provided is for illustrative purposes only and does not constitute investment, tax, or legal advice. Information has been obtained from sources are deemed to be reliable, but its accuracy and completeness are not guaranteed. Neither LPL Financial nor the hosts of this show or accept any liability for the use of the information discussed. Consult with a qualified financial, legal, or tax professional prior to taking any action. Securities offered through LPL Financial, member FINRA SIPC. Investment advice offered through Ostrofe Financial Consultants, a registered investment advisor and separate entity from LPL Financial.